Hello, everyone. Welcome back to How Come. This week has been crazy. Okay, before I do anything, I have a huge announcement to make. We have our first live show coming up April 25th at Stand Up New York in New York City on the Upper West Side. You have to come. This is so exciting. We're finally going to do it live, a live podcast. It's me and Charlotte. We're interviewing Lola Jean. She was a guest on season 1. She had me at her masturbation class. This time she's going to be giving us a squirting tutorial and a sexting tutorial because she's a master at both. She literally just got a Guinness Book record of squirting. I don't know if it was distance or if it was amount, but she's going to tell us everything. So then after the live podcast, then we're going to have live stand-up from some of your favorite past guests, all comedians. One of them is Ben, my boyfriend. You know, he's a comedian too, so he's going to be there. And it's just going to be the best time. So you go to standupny.com. The comedy club is Stand Up New York. Standupny.com. The tickets are $20, but obviously our companions get a promo code, so use the promo code HowCome for 25% off and come see us. Oh my god, I cannot wait. It is going to be the best time. Also, I don't know, I've been feeling a little funky this week, but it's been an emotional roller coaster. So we started the week launching our Slut Whisperer episode, and I was so fucking pumped to put it out there because Slut Whisperer, besides having 1.3 million followers, which if he shared that episode, like so many more people could be companions and learn about the female orgasm. But a lot of those people are male. And I was just so excited for him to share that with everyone. And then he gets fucking taken off of Instagram 2 days before we post the episode. And I'm in LA now, so like I couldn't do another episode or whatever. I was just like, whatever, we'll just it's like social media. Also, I read that for Virgos in Mercury in retrograde, we'd have some social media glitches. So maybe that's what it is. But hopefully he'll be back on social soon, just for the fact that he shouldn't be censored. It's ridiculous that his account's not allowed to be online anymore. So yeah, we're going to wait for that. But then at the same time, I got the best Instagram message. I'm not going to say ever because all of your messages are amazing, but this one specifically, thinking about dudes listening to this podcast, was just awesome. This comes from our companion, Adam, and he said, "So I'm on deployment and we were talking about sex. I brought up how much I learned from your podcast and so many soldiers said, 'That's lame. I'm great at sex. I always get women off.' I bring in statistics, science, and everything else. They weren't totally convinced. We've spent the last 4 hours listening to the first episodes of How Come. It doesn't look like it's ending soon, and everybody is having incredibly constructive conversations. Someone will literally say, 'Hey, pause,' and we will discuss the topic and move on. It's so dope. Hope you realize what this podcast has done for people, especially for me. A group of quote-unquote alpha males are sitting around a speaker listening to your podcast, learning about the female orgasm and talking about how they can improve their partner's sex life. These guys are learning about selflessness in a way through this podcast, and that's awesome. Just wanted you to understand the impact you're making.'" And then I said, "Oh my God, I'm freaking out." This just made my heart explode because it did. I was freaking out. And he said, "I've been in the Army for coming on 6 years and I've seen misogyny every step of the way. It's not everywhere in the Army or military in general, but it is there. Just this week, I had one of my soldiers say, 'I don't care if she comes.' And tonight, that very soldier said that he was going to be more conscious with his partners. That's incredible. The military isn't full of female-friendly individuals. We aren't all so bad. And I've heard more pro-women statements this night than I ever have in my military career. The podcast is so palatable that men are able to be receptive. Keep doing what you're doing. Men are going to catch on. If dudes in the Army think this is dope, men in general will think it's incredible. You've literally helped an entire platoon of guys understand the Me Too movement, women, sexuality, and toxic masculinity in one night. So we should thank you." Oh my God. Thank you. Wow. Like I said, all of your messages are amazing. I love hearing about your first time coming experiences. I love hearing about people who felt they were alone and now they don't feel like a weirdo anymore. So yeah, that was a really great one this week. And then Cosmopolitan magazine came out with their first annual Sexcellence Awards. They talk about their favorite toys, lubes, accessories, services, and then there's a page of Innovators. And thank you so much, Cosmopolitan magazine, because they named me an innovator and I couldn't be more grateful. I got listed amongst some really fucking badass women. Andrea Barica from O. School, who we had last season on the Sex Ed episode 33. She was listed. Our guest today is the biggest photo on the page. She's amazing, and we're going to introduce her in a second. And yeah, you should definitely pick up a copy because it's got great advice and great tips. So thank you so much, Cosmo. This means the world to me. And I know that we have a lot of new listeners because of that. Hi, welcome. We're so excited to have you here. I know we have a lot of new listeners from the Girls Gotta Eat podcast. Hi, we're so excited to have you here. From Young Daddy. Hi, guys. From Burning in Hell, whatever, from Self-Helpless, whatever podcast or publication brought you in. Hi, we are so excited to have you here. If you are not familiar with How Come, it's not just a podcast talking about people's first times. It literally started because I could never have an orgasm. And if you want to hear my journey starting from no orgasm to orgasm, that's all episode 1 through 6. And then after, 6 through 15 is orgasms different ways. So yeah, definitely go back and listen to those. If you're a new listener or you're even an old listener, we encourage everybody to leave a 5-star rating and a review telling us how much you love us, because we love you too. But also any review and rating, like Karley said last episode, helps our podcast go up the charts, hence better guests, more touring, more money, blah, blah, blah. If you want to help us tour, become a fan on Patreon, send us some money. Patreon.com is a really great place where you can support your creators. We put up extra content. I try and put up at least 15 to 30 extra minutes of every episode. Usually it's stuff that we couldn't say on the episode. Karley had a lot of stuff to say last episode. So go to patreon.com/howcome. It's only $5 a month for the extras. You get access to all of them. I'm starting to put up all these old videos of me talking about dating like back in the day. I used to keep like this video blog. So I'm going to start putting those up more regularly. And yeah, go to patreon.com/howcome to support us. Go to standupny.com to get your tickets for the April 25th live show. Go to my website, remycasimir.com, if you want to come see me live do stand up before April 25th. And all that good stuff. Okay, so now that we've done all of that and you're all going to rate and review and we're all going to see each other on April 25th and be in love, I'm going to introduce our guest for the week. She's amazing. Cosmopolitan called her the millennial Carrie Bradshaw. She has a show on Viceland called Slutever where she tries all these different types of sex stuff. It's one of the best shows. It used to be a blog. She has a column in Vogue called Breathless. She's also a writer on Starz Now Apocalypse, which just premiered March 10th. And she's just making everyone feel really good about sex. You guys, I'm so excited to have her here. Give it up for Karley Sciortino.
How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so happy that you are here. So last episode we were talking to the Slut Whisperer and we kind of talked about what being a slut is. And you've defined that very well.
Yeah, well, so I talk about this in my book that the word slut has gone really rogue in the last handful of years. You know, it used to be a derogatory term for a woman who slept around in theory, but now it's just used all over the place. Like girls are called sluts when they're 13 just because they post a sexy photo on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? Like it doesn't actually have anything to do with your body count, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's used as a term of endearment increasingly between women. And in my book, I make the effort to redefine the word slut as a person who's sexually adventurous, who essentially doesn't have any shame between themselves and their desire to have the sex life that they want, and that it's not necessarily about how many people you have sex with, but more about being able to have sex with who you want and how you want and basically not giving a fuck about it.
Yeah. Do you think boys are judged the same way? Like, I know I've called guys kind of sluts or like fuck boys or whatever, like, and that has like a negative connotation too. But is that just a person who's like more explorative or like just doesn't like me?
Exactly. Yeah. We can weaponize the use of the word slut as long as it's benefiting us. No, I think I call guys sluts too, but I think that I don't ever mean it entirely badly. Like there's something about the word slut that I think is really naughty and subversive. There's something that's transgressive about it, right? That I don't think that we ever want to lose. Like even if you're like reclaiming it with a sense of feminist power. It's like you don't want to just flip it from being bad to good. Like you want there to be something inherently bad about it because that's why it's fun.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? So even when I call a guy a slut, I mean it in a good way, but also in a bad way.
I always feel like also there has been like a morality attached to the word slut.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what you were saying, like that there must be something wrong with you if you're slutty. I think for women, it's like often we assume if you're promiscuous, it's linked to depression or mental health issues, or because you're like basically ugly and can't get a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like as if ugly people don't have boyfriends. But like for men, it's like, oh, you just want to fuck for fun, and women, it's like it's
an impossible
Yeah,
idea.
you can't just want to fuck for fun.
Yeah. I also think like there were a lot of girls in my high school who were like meek, that were known as like secret sluts or whatever. And they'd be like, yeah, she must be like, fucked up or something. Like, no, she's shy and she likes sex. Yeah.
Right.
This is why I think girls are judged a little bit more, is because like you can get stuff out of your slutty behavior, like there's like kind of like,
but that you can somehow leverage it.
That you could somehow leverage it because guys are more, or in the past were more willing to like buy sex.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, these women, they're using their like slutty behavior to like get by in life, and I couldn't use that same behavior to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it, which actually I've never thought about before. Well, it's a woman's sexuality is a form of power for sure.
Yeah.
And I think part of that comes from the fact that historically sex is something that men want and women give, right?
Yeah.
So there's like something that women are withholding.
It's easier for us to give them an orgasm. Like if we just say like, here, use the hole, it's real. But seriously, it's easier for them to have an orgasm. If we're just like, hey, I'm going to fuck this guy, like you have to do a good amount of directing for him to please you.
Yeah. It's like a paint by number or what?
Yeah.
No, but I do think it's a power thing. Like,
yeah.
You have to allow them basically to have access to that power.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing with the witches that you talked about on an episode.
Yes.
Oh my God. That was okay. So Slutever, if you haven't been watching it, is a show on Viceland where Karley explores all of the fun new ways to have sex, old ways to have sex, like just different facets of sex that you maybe didn't even know existed. There was an episode on VR porn. There's an episode on pussy power. Pussy power is one of my favorite episodes.
Well, I love that you said that because the pussy power episode is my favorite episode that we've ever done.
Yeah.
And it sounds whatever. I know people are super triggered by the idea of pussy power because it's exclusionary, but we kind of go into all of that too, just like to cover my bases. Yeah. But one of the parts of it, we go to visit this woman, Kristen Soleil, and she wrote that book, Witches, Sluts, Feminists, and she teaches about the history of witchcraft at the New School.
Yeah.
And she essentially talks about how historically that there is a connection between witches and female sexuality, female sexual power, and that like witches were burned often, that they were like considered sexual, and then that's why they were being oppressed.
Yeah.
And that the broomstick is this phallic object and that women ride it, and it's like a symbol of like, it's basically like a giant magical dildo.
Yeah. And they were literally putting like a salve on it or something like that and like doing drugs and like just having orgasms. I'm like, oh, I'm a witch.
Yes, exactly. Hence like the flying, it can fly. There's something about like flying that's in relation to tripping or something.
Yeah.
But basically she was talking to me about how there's a history of witches using their orgasms basically to cast spells, like that orgasms have a magical have magical powers, and that you can sort of manifest your wishes, desires through coming.
Yeah.
So basically she taught me this ritual where you basically draw this thing called a sigil, which is like a symbol that has a magical power, or that you, I guess, come magical powers into.
Yeah.
And so it's this whole process that I actually kind of can't
like a
remember.
Horcrux, but for cum.
And you're gonna have to watch it because I sort of forget because I'm an idiot. But basically, like I could say, okay, I really want to sell a bunch of copies of my book.
Yeah.
And then you draw the symbol that represents that, and then you masturbate while looking at the symbol or with the symbol, and then you come, and then apparently all your dreams come true.
Yeah, it's a very powerful form of manifesturbating.
It's so,
Manifesturbating.
So like riding the broomstick was just like riding a dick. Basically.
Yeah, it was just using a wooden dildo.
And the guys were like, burn them.
Burn them. Yeah, they were like, oh my God, they're having multiple orgasms. They're having way more fun than us. Burn them.
Wow, that's fucked.
That's fucked.
Classic.
My favorite part of that Pussy Power episode, though, too, was you were like, it's so crazy, especially because there is this big wave of pussy power, especially in this year. And pussies are gorgeous and everything's amazing. And I personally, and you said this too, like grew up being told vaginas are gross, vaginas smell, like you're not really supposed to like them, they're not that appealing. And then now we're supposed to like flip this switch that's like, they're amazing, I'm powerful. Like, how has that been, turning that switch on and off, I guess?
Well, it's complicated because, yeah, I grew up and there's all these gross names for pussy, like taco or whatever, like gyro. I don't even think that's right, but it's
beef
like
curtain.
Yeah,
It
beef
always
curtain.
had to do with fish too.
Yeah, fish
know.
market.
Ugh.
Like it smells bad. And then I had so much like getting head anxiety for a
Same.
long time.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'd always be like, are you bored? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you want to stop? You can stop if you want. Like just freaking out.
Yeah.
And then and then I feel like now in recent years it's switched, and in a kind of like irreverent fun way, like, oh, pussy power, which obviously comes a lot from Trump's grab him by the pussy, and I
Sure.
think people were kind of reclaiming that.
Yeah.
But then, and there was kind of like a fun moment where pussy was being used as a symbol of empowerment, which I actually do think is good for young women who grew up thinking the opposite. But then there was this backlash to the women's movement using the pussy as a symbol because, you know, everyone was saying not all women have a pussy.
Which is true.
Which is true. And I do understand that.
Yeah.
But I also think that pussy power doesn't have to be erased. Do you know what I mean?
No, it should still be like, there is so much big dick energy out there, you know, like that. Yeah, we do need a symbol, at least that it's nice, that it is powerful, that it's strong, that it's fun, that it doesn't gross people out, that it excites people. I had a very interesting sexual experience this morning that I've never had before. I haven't even told Charlotte about
This morning, it's like just was noon.
I know.
We wake up weirdly.
We wake up really early.
What's been happening?
I know that I've talked about this a lot on this podcast, that like you're supposed to communicate and stuff, but like I am not perfect. I am still in my head. Like I still am thinking, oh, maybe he doesn't want to be down there. Maybe he doesn't even want to touch it. Like all this stuff, even though he's told me he does. And like,
It's hard to unlearn these
It's
things.
hard to unlearn, whatever. And so I was sitting there and like, and then I was just like, and then he ends up taking like my stomach, like with his arm, but in the way so that he can't see my face, and he's just like looking at my vagina, and I was kind of telling him what to do, and it kind of felt more like science, that I was just like, I'm just gonna tell him exactly, as if this is like a fucking lab, you know, like taking my own body in, and I'm just like the thing, and he's learning on it, and like whatever. And I was like telling him what to do with his hands. And then I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to show him what I do with my girl's best friend from Sweet Vibrations. And I put it on. And then this time I was like showing him. And then I was like, okay, now you put your hand here. And I like showed him how I accelerate it and like how I do everything. And then I squirted so much. Yeah.
Oh my God, there's actual high fives happening.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So much that it was like insane. And I was just
so
like,
proud.
thank you. It was so crazy. And he got off the bed and he goes, you peed or whatever, as like a joke. But then I like went into the bathroom and I started crying because I felt immediately judged, even though like everybody writes to us and they're like, is squirting pee? And I'm like, no. And in the moment I knew it wasn't. Like it felt so different, and it was just like the most intense orgasm I've ever had. And then it was like that like flip of him and he was just meant it as a joke. And then I came out
like 100-0.
I felt so bad. And then I came out and he's like, what were you doing in the bathroom? Like, you don't usually pee for that long. And I was like, I felt bad because you said that I peed. And he was like, oh my God, no. He's like, dude, like, I love that you squirt. I think it's amazing. I was just trying to make a joke. That's like porn star shit. Like, this is exciting. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I felt really proud that I even said that.
Yeah.
Because usually I would stay the whole day being like, oh my God, he said I peed and he thinks I'm disgusting. Like, I would like live in that.
Yeah.
And I instead told him about it, and he's like, no, it's fucking sick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm down to wash your sheets every day.
Well, it all, like, I think is super related. Like we always say, if you can speak up in the bedroom, that's like the hardest place to do so. Then you can probably do it everywhere. Like, how do you feel like you've changed since starting
Since starting the blog?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, literally everything you just said in that story, I have so much to say about all of that because it's so true. Wait, can I just comment on one thing you said first?
Yeah.
So when you were saying that you were just showing him your vagina and just being like, this is how I do it, and you're saying it sounds kind of scientific, I actually think that if you can be playful about stuff like that, that is super hot, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that we think that we're not supposed to just sort of tell someone exactly what to do or like show someone exactly what to do. But I think that if you make some kind of light game out of it, or that sounds super cheesy, like you don't have to make a game out of it, but if you like fun about it, that is so useful. But yeah, same thing. This is basically what I pay my therapist thousands of dollars for, is just to be able to say how I feel to people.
Totally.
Not necessarily in bed, but that's, like you said, the hardest place to do it.
Yeah.
I can't even do it. My problem is like if someone's talking to me and they're being like super annoying at a party, like I can't even be like, I'm going to go get some food and walk away from them. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm trapped with them now. Forever. Yes.
I'm like, I'm married now.
Yeah. So I think I hate to do the whole like we're women thing and we're oppressed, but I do think that that's true, that we are taught that you have to please, right? And that you can't be rude. And I'm also just completely avoidant of confrontation at all. So for years, I had bad sex. Like I had bad sex forever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I just didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I mean, that's why we fake orgasms, right?
Don't do that, anybody.
I know. I would never do that now. I would never do that now, but I faked 1,000 million orgasms.
Because we thought of, I guess, confrontation as rude or speaking up as rude. And it's not at all.
Yeah, or just as taking up too much space.
Totally.
I think. Do you know what I mean? Like you're supposed to not take up that much space.
There's too much time spent on me. Like literally this morning I was like, oh my God, like he's been touching my vagina for a long time. Like I should be touching his penis.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't believe... But like, what?
Right.
How many times are like you sucking a dick for like 15 minutes?
Yeah, I don't feel oppressed by sucking dick. But also on the flip side, you have to learn how to say, I don't want to be doing this, or just to stop doing something if you don't want to do
100%,
it. 100%. Which I also couldn't do.
But that's total. Yeah. But now that I can say like, I don't want to do, like I've been dating my boyfriend, I think for 3 years. Like for the majority of it, couldn't say, I don't want to suck your dick right now.
Yeah. It's a learned skill.
Could not. But now when I do, I'm like, oh, I'm excited to be doing this because I want to be doing this. Yeah.
My friend, Jana Vrangalova, you should have her on your podcast. She's the human sexuality professor at NYU.
Ooh.
And she's currently doing the world's largest ever sex survey on squirting. So she's a sex researcher. Yeah, she's a doctor.
Very cool.
And you should have her on to just talk about that.
100%. We have so many squirting questions that I cannot answer. Like,
so it's so crazy because what she's saying is no one knows anything about squirting. Like the biggest sex research sample that they've ever had on squirters is like 11 people or something. So with that question is like, is it pee? Is it not pee? She's like, we honestly don't really know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when people squirt, it's a high percentage of urine, and sometimes for people it's a really low percentage.
Yeah.
And she has this whole working hypothesis about it, like coming, you know, how much pee's in there and why.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to regurgitate it because I don't know what I'm talking about.
I think ultimately, like, it doesn't matter how much pee it is. I just kind of want to know from a medical perspective, so like other people can teach themselves how to squirt and stuff, and people can feel more comfortable and not wonder if it's pee. Like, there's pee in your eye boogers. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. And she's also studying people to see if people who don't naturally squirt, if they can squirt if someone used the right technique.
Right. Yeah. I know that there are some genetics that play into it. But LOL.
LOL. Lol.
Lol, if you would.
Do you squirt?
I can.
Yeah.
It's not like an all the time thing though. It's technique. I also learned that you don't have to have an orgasm to squirt.
Yeah, I had a listener writing in a bunch of times being like, I keep squirting, but I don't think I finished. And I'm like, you might not be, but still keep going because you're like trudging those neural pathways that like Dan Savage was talking about. Like you're making headway.
And also, I think the term squirt needs to change too because the amount of what comes out is very different time to time. I mean, there will be moments that are like you're saying, you're like, there's a puddle.
Gushed. Yeah.
Right.
And then other times you're like, oh, I don't see anything. It's just
he needs
more of a dribble.
Oh my God, maybe I should give him my new mattress. He needs a new I'm going to give Ben my mattress. And when I get my new Helix mattress, Charlotte has a Helix mattress, and it's
we had a sleepover.
And I had the best sleep of my life. And so I asked them to sponsor this podcast. So when Helix sends me their mattress, I'm going to give mine to Ben because I completely ruined his this morning. And then we'll use like a towel from now on or something. I don't know, or like a pillow top or something. But towels, yeah.
Like a tarp.
A tarp. So if you need a new mattress, and you might want a new mattress, go to helixsleep.com/howcome and take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you to a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. Have you ever taken a sleep quiz?
No.
It's great. It asks you about your height and weight.
Yeah. And it's like, do you get sweaty when you sleep?
And your partner's height and weight. Yeah. And then it makes you a custom mattress. It's amazing. And so right now, Helix is offering up to $125 off of all mattress orders. You can get up to $125 off at helixsleep.com/howcome. That is helixsleep.com/howcome for up to $125 off your mattress order. Best sleep of my life. Least sweaty sleep of my life.
I didn't know you were there.
Yeah. And we've had a lot of conversations about me being horrible. Yeah. And I wasn't at all. And then we got to have that nice Outback Steakhouse party on your bed with Carell and Jax, and everyone was cozy, and it was just amazing time.
I was going to say, I didn't know you were there except for when you fell asleep first. And I was like, really? You come over for a sleepover and you're just going to not even talk to me?
Dead. Dead, dying.
But yeah, squirting.
Right, Ben, I'll give you.
Squirting is interesting.
Squirting is definitely interesting.
I've never cared about a mattress before, and I'm like passionate about my mattress.
I'm passionate about your mattress. Like I've never reached, how many times am I like, let's reach out to a sponsor?
Like never.
And I was just like,
I want to fuck in this.
I would want to fuck in this bed. Yeah. Ooh. It's apparently supposed to be a really good mattress for fucking too. I don't know the science of it. I'm gonna.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll ask.
The next
soft?
time.
Is it soft?
It's whatever you want.
It's whatever you need. Is the thing. Like during my sleep quiz, it was like, "What do you usually sleep in?" Okay, like now, how often do you wake up sore? And I'm like, "Good question." Like I thought I liked a soft bed so much, but I'm pretty sure like I'm gonna need something more firm. Like yours is like soft and it's so great.
I know.
It's so great. You guys, helixsleep.com/howcome. Okay, I love you. Goodbye. So I know that you had said that, what was the term?
Antisocial clit.
Antisocial clit.
You wrote that.
Oh my God, I did. Yeah. I kind of remember that. And that's very funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. I related very hard to that.
But yeah, that was basically saying
that it was hard for you to come with a person, or like you could masturbate and do it yourself, but it was difficult to do with someone else.
Yeah. I mean, for years and years, I could come by myself really early and it would happen pretty fast. Like, I don't really know how old I was, but but I started masturbating before I understood what masturbation was. So it was really early. And then, masturbated a lot through teens. But when I would have sex with my boyfriend starting at 16, it wasn't just that I didn't come. It was that I wasn't even anywhere in the realm of like I wasn't in the same country.
Yeah,
totally.
I could enjoy it, but not because it felt physically good, which is a really strange thing.
Because it was fun to have intimacy?
Yeah.
Did it feel physically bad?
It didn't feel physically bad. I guess there was probably moments when it felt physically bad, right? That it would hurt, but it was like fun to have intimacy. It felt transgressive. Mm-hmm. Like, I just liked being naked with somebody. Like, there's a million reasons why sex is fun that isn't common.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. You also grew up in a Catholic family.
Yeah.
So sex probably wasn't like, go for it.
No. And that made it even more fun. Like, I was having a lot of sex, like, in my car in a parking lot. You know what I mean?
Because it's bad.
Yeah. Catholicism is insane because everything is a no, which means everything is so much more exciting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a million boundaries to break, which makes life like...
That's such a positive spin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like I've noticed a lot of people that we've had on this podcast have come from Catholic backgrounds. Yeah. And now they're like sex positive, the most sex positive people. Dan Savage, right?
Irish Catholic.
Irish Catholic.
And I mean, this has been quoted 800 million times, but there's that John Waters quote, "Thank God I'm Catholic because sex will always be dirty," which is the best. Spot on.
I mean, definitely don't molest little boys. There is that bad part of it.
Right, true. But if you're going to find a silver lining.
Very sexual people.
Wait, I just have a question.
Okay.
Has it become a more social clit?
Oh, right.
Oh.
We like lost track. So, yeah, basically, I think I came during sex the first time when I was 22 years old. And I had been dating my boyfriend for over 3 years.
Yeah.
And basically I worked out that if I masturbated to the point that I was really close and then we started having sex, then I could come.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But that was still fun. You know what I mean? It's like a step forward.
Yeah.
It's not a fail. And then now, I think it was just for me really about working out and feeling confident to integrate masturbation into my sex life.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like I need that.
It's literally showing how it's done. Like we know how it's done for them. Oh, your hand literally is the same shape as my vaginal hole. Like,
right.
It's easy. Like, but for women, it's like you kind of have to like let them into your world.
Totally. And also it's about relaxing. Like I think in that article that you're referencing about the antisocial clit, I was talking about how a lot of it was just having orgasm anxiety. So once you calm down, I started to be able to come getting head because I just had to accept the fact that that person liked to be down there.
Yeah.
And then if they didn't want to be down there, then they would tell me. Do you know what I mean? But it took being with partners who really were like, I love doing this. Shut the fuck up. Calm down. Like if I don't want to do it, I will tell you.
Totally.
And it like reprogrammed my brain, I think.
And that, do you think that was before you started writing about sex?
Oh no, that was like 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Or like
Unreal.
Well, no. Okay. Let me go back.
Okay.
When I was 20, so I was able to come when I was, is this like the most longest boring story? No, this is like the point of the podcast. So when I was, with that boyfriend when I was 22, I started to be able to come with him. Then I had a different boyfriend who we didn't really have good sexual chemistry. And for years I found it difficult to come again. And then when I was 27, I started dating a woman, and that was the only woman I've ever dated, but we dated for 3 years and I could come all the time. Yeah. Cause it was like, you don't have the orgasm anxiety because it's a woman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you're both striving for the same goal, and you're not like, there's going to be this time, like
you're on the same time
You're
schedule.
on the same time schedule.
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah. Literally, like I feel bad. I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want somebody to like make me eat longer than I want to. I want to finish my meal. I understand being a guy and wanting to get to your nut, you know,
right.
But I also understand women who feel like, oh fuck, like we're not on the same, like, but with girls, it's like,
it's great. And also they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So you don't feel guilty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I don't even know what it is. I think that it's something about the shame too, about the vagina, where like you don't think that woman thinks your body is gross.
she has one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
And if she thinks you're gross, and then she thinks she's gross too. And so at least like you both don't think you're great.
It's like internalized homophobia, but like whatever. So then I could come all the time, and then I think it raised the bar because I was like, oh, now I'm coming like multiple times during sex, and then we broke up when I was around 30, so 3 years ago.
Okay.
And then after that, it's like you can't go back.
Right.
So then I
like,
started.
That's the sex I could be having. I need to be having that all the time.
Right. Like I need to be able to start having that with guys.
Yeah.
And so that's when I went on my like self-care vagina orgasm journey.
And how did you start that orgasm journey, or I guess documenting? What was the first Slutever post?
The first Slutever post was when I was 21. It was 2007. It was a blog, like a blog spot. Yeah. And I think the first ever post I wrote about was sort of what the trials and tribulations of basically choosing an unconventional life and what that meant for my future sort of romantically. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so when I started my blog, like I said, I was 21 and I had this boyfriend who I'd been dating since I was 18. And then as my blog got more popular and I started writing about sex more, he felt really alienated by it. And it was one of the big reasons why we broke up. And I remember him telling me, like, you're like in a fight, like, you're like, no one will ever date you because this is your job. And then I realized going forward that actually it's the opposite, that it's this amazing filter.
Yeah.
Because the people who don't want to date you you like want to write them off immediately because why would you want to date them in the first place?
Totally. But yeah, I think a lot of the stuff that you explore is really, really interesting. And it does open up so many worlds to, like, you can be like, oh yeah, I did an episode on this, like, on VR porn. Like, what do you think about that to a guy that you're with? And then it's like, you have these great conversations that you otherwise wouldn't.
No, totally. And I think that it goes both ways. I feel it's a great conversation starter, like you said, but then also people feel open to talking to you about things that they wouldn't otherwise, because it's essentially at the core of it is that you're someone that they don't think is going to judge them.
Yeah.
And I think people feel immensely judged and fear of judgment all the time. I mean, everything we were just talking about, not being able to say you're rubbing in the wrong place and it's actually really painful, is about, I guess, like, worrying about hurting someone else's feelings, but also it's about judgment, like not being able to ask for what you want in bed. I think is hugely about feeling like alienated.
100%.
A lot of this was like started because you're just like, am I a weirdo?
Am I weird? Am I alone?
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, no. We all feel really weird.
Dude, I say this all the time, but so I've had an email on my blog on Slutever for over 10 years now, and girls send me sometimes just personal emails or advice questions, and the number one question I have gotten for forever is basically, I can't come during sex, is my vagina broken?
Yeah, like, not at all.
Yeah.
It's not a conducive motion to the female orgasm. Like, sex, if you're defining during sex as during sexual intercourse, that is literally hard for us. Like, episode 1, we were saying only 8 to 25% of women can come from just insertion.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't even believe them.
Don't expect to, like, have foreplay a way bigger part of, and then let him pump away.
Yeah.
That's what we did this morning. I literally peed all over the bed. No, I squirted all over the bed, and then it took him like fucking 2 minutes, and it was like great. Like, I don't know. I always got in my head like, oh, if he's going down on me or if he's fingering me, he's gonna lose his boner and we'll never get it back.
Right.
Like, that's not a thing.
He'll never have a boner again.
Yeah. It'll never come back.
Yeah. No, completely. It's just intimate. I think it's really generous to share that type of, like, knowledge about yourself. Like, the fact that you talk about that on this podcast probably has spawned literally like 100,000 at the minimum conversations between girls and their friends about whether or not they can come.
Yeah. Or people and their boyfriend, like people and their fiancés, people that like weren't talking about shit. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, because it normalizes the conversation.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting is that, you know, even for being overtly sexual, women get called sluts, right?
Yeah.
Like, historically, we talked about that at the beginning.
Yeah.
But also, women are really the only people who talk about sex publicly. Like, the women are very I think it's actually more palatable to hear women talking about sex and sexuality than men. And I wrote about this in one of my Vogue columns, that almost the only men who talk about sex are either gay, like in a Dan Savage way,
Totally,
or that they have to spin it with some kind of science.
Yeah.
Like Christopher Ryan writes about, you know, he wrote that book Sex at Dawn, which sort of assesses whether or not monogamy is
a viable
part of our
thing.
biology or whatever. And it's all about, you know, he's a psychologist, and it's a super science heavy book. And just hearing a guy, like, if a guy did a podcast just about his orgasms, everyone would be like, ew. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there are some guy podcasts about orgasms, and they're good, but it's like, we've heard that angle. Like, when I started stand up, one of the male comics told me it's such a great time to be a female comic, not just because it's like popular or whatever, but he's like, but we've been hearing our side for such a long time. We've been hearing about guys jacking off or having ED or whatever. Like, their perspective is very known. So the female perspective is so welcome, because like,
And I don't even mean that I think it's gross to hear guys talk about sex. I don't. I just think that there's a sort of tenor with which men have always talked about sex, which is like braggy or sort of like, what's the deal?
Or like, ew.
Yeah, ew.
Yeah.
Or it's like performative in some way, where if a guy had a genuine podcast about vulnerabilities during sex
definitely.
and like what he feels insecure about and like what, you know, and that men just discussed sexuality in an honest, vulnerable way, like that would be, I think, so beneficial because men don't ever hear that.
Yeah. No, we've had some really good, open, vulnerable guys on this one.
I've loved hearing how different
their stories
experiences are. Yeah. Some people like won't come unless you go near their balls. Other people like, don't go near them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, but I think what you were saying about like having this conversation has taken the power back for me, like on this podcast, because I grew up only hearing guys talk about sex, like in elementary school and high school, and it would always be what you're saying, braggy or this is gross or whatever. And I was like, I don't want to become one of those stories that it's like, oh, he was going down on what's her face and there was toilet paper down there. I'm like, that's going to become my story around school. Now I have this platform and you have your platform where we can actually talk about like, this is how the sex was for me.
Yeah, that people become just like, it's like mythologized. There's like always like the girl that peed or whatever, the toothy blowjob. But people are just so scared of themselves. Everyone's just so scared and pathetic, honestly. Not pathetic, but just like we're all just
we
sad.
Are. Yeah,
you know
we all
mean?
hate ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good word of advice I got one time was like, Remy, just remember everyone's human and everyone hates themselves. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one. I do want to talk about that VR porn episode though, because it blew my dick off and there were so many different aspects of it. One of the you got to experience VR porn, which is like virtual reality. You go, you watch. It's like you're there, kind of like point of view stuff. But then...
Yeah, wait, can you explain what you did in this episode?
Right. So virtual reality porn is basically, I mean, everyone knows what virtual reality is probably, right? Like you put on the glasses and then you're in this, you're transported to completely what it feels like a different world. It's really disorienting. When the first time I put on VR glasses, I got super dizzy, which is common.
Yeah.
You can look all around up to the sides and you feel like you're completely somewhere else. And so now there's multiple versions of porn being made. So there's the basic one where you put on VR glasses and then you just are watching porn, but you're kind of, you feel like you're in the room.
Yeah.
So you can look over to the right and like people are having sex on what looks like a sofa that's next to you. Or there's like a lot of POV VR porn.
I like that one though. So you're like the cuck. Like
Yeah, exactly.
everybody else is doing stuff, but you're not. You're like left out. It's like so masochistic.
It's like walking to a sex party.
You're a voyeur. Yeah. Or you're
That's
walking
a real
around
thing.
a sex party. Yeah, that's what we did at the sex party.
We did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then the second one is point of view. So it's like you can be fucking people.
Yeah, so someone's on top of you and it looks like there's someone really on top of you. And then there's this next level that we're getting to where there's companies now, there's a big one in LA called Kama Sutra, where they put porn stars or regular people into scanners, like in the way that, you know, for whatever X-Men, they would, no, not X-Men. Like, what's a movie where they like scan famous people and then they're kind of like a CGI?
Like Avatar.
Avatar.
Yeah.
I like don't know like technology words, but they you know, it's like a 3D full body scan that looks almost exactly like that person.
Totally.
And so they scan porn stars and then you can go into virtual reality and have sex with actual porn stars who can like talk back to you because they have an AI component.
Yeah. It's like a robot, but in virtual reality, essentially. And I thought that was so cool because now these porn stars can license themselves out and be having sex that they're not actually having and make money that way. Like,
that's so wild.
That's amazing.
My mind's blown.
Right?
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, it's amazing. And I think the future of it also is that you can... So there's also this other stuff called teledildonics.
I loved that
which
shit.
is the funniest word of all time.
Yeah.
And it basically means that you're using the internet to control other people's sex toys. So just a basic example, a guy in Australia puts like a fleshlight on his dick.
Yeah.
And then I'm here in America and I have a dildo and I touch the dildo, stroke the dildo, and our sex toys are connected. And as the speed of which I'm stroking it or the way I'm touching it, he can feel it through his sex toy.
Yeah.
Thousands of miles away or whatever. And so the future of virtual reality, people are saying, is that you'll be able to meet up with other people in virtual reality. They'll look like themselves or they'll look like a different type of avatar, whatever they choose, and that you can use your sex toys to actually physically touch and interact with each other and feel how they're touching you. And it's really crazy because what I think is so interesting about it is that it's expanding and changing our definition of what sex is. Because it's like, is that sex?
Is that cheating if like you're in a relationship or whatever and you like fuck some, like there were so many questions that had opened up to, and I was like, oh my God. Like the pen pals you could have.
I know. Exactly.
10, 15 pals.
10, 15 pals. And like you don't get any diseases. Like that's insane. And you could like the way that I used to go into AOL chat rooms or whatever, and I'd have like gay sex, like with like I pretend I was like a guy, and like when I was like
so
11,
funny.
like cyber with my, shout out to my friend Brianna, we would just like cyber with older dudes all the time as guys. Like,
that's so funny.
You can do that. Like you could be did you ever see that movie Ready Player One?
No, but I wanted to because it's the Spielberg movie, right?
Yeah. Like they even have a scene where he has like a suit that like basically responds to their touch, and they like fuck in the Oasis even though they're like countries away.
I think that's really hot. It sounds really fun to me. And we were interviewing some people about it that I don't think everyone made it into the episode, but you ask people, if you meet up with someone on virtual reality and stroke a dildo and they can feel it, is that sex?
Is that sex?
And most people will say no. And then if you say, would you let your partner do that with someone else? Then like their brain kind of scrambles for a second, and then they're like, no.
So wild.
Right? So it's funny.
I know. I was trying to work it out for myself. I'm not sure. But also I've said like I wouldn't mind if somebody went and got a happy ending. Like if I really wasn't like holding up my end of
if you talked
the
about
sexual
it with them
deal.
first.
Yeah. If I knew and they were like, you just suck with your hand or something. I hope it was nicer than that. But that was also an interesting stat that you said there were more hand job places in New York than bars.
Yeah,
Is that
was
true?
some statistic that we found, and we found it on multiple places that there was more happy ending massage parlors in New York than there are bars, which is really scary because there's so many bars.
There's so many bars.
I know.
Like, is this a happy ending place then?
I guess there's probably, in my head I was like, I guess there's probably just like huge portions of Queens and South Brooklyn where there's like no bars, but a lot of happy ending massage parlors. That's how I rationalized
That's like
it.
what I think about when I think about like trees that are like giving us oxygen. I'm like, well, they're not in the city, so they just must be. They're in Montana. There's just like a million happy ending places in Montana or whatever, or in Queens.
Yeah, they're like in Yonkers.
Yeah, exactly. So funny. You were scanned in yourself.
Yes.
And you were a little porn star avatar nudie.
Yeah, I know. It was so like so we went there, and the way that it works, it looks amazing because it's just giant rig with like, I can't remember, like almost 400 cameras.
Yeah.
And so they take a picture and they all photograph you at once, and they can photograph we saw these porn stars doing it, and there's this guy, his name's Mick, I can't remember his last name, he's a super famous porn star, he has a 12-inch dick. It was insane.
Cool.
Like it was literally insane. I was like, are you gonna pass out when you get an erection because like, all the blood from your whole body
Just fall over.
I know. But so it was him and this girl, and like the girl's like spreading her butt cheeks, and like the camera gets these like high definition photographs of her butthole, basically, that because when you're having sex in virtual reality, you like want to see the details, I guess. But anyway, so I went in. I didn't do any of that specific stretching or anything, but
Sure.
It was super weird because then I was like, in order to get a super high res scan of yourself, it takes a while. So they did mine within 24 hours just for the show. So I look kind of low res and weird.
Okay.
But I could see this guy fucking me. Like I was, and it was really, I hated it. I was like super creeped out because I felt like I had no autonomy because this guy that I had never seen, this avatar that I'd never seen before had me like bent over.
Totally.
Like it was really,
It's
really
a mind
creepy.
fuck. Yeah. I also, because you got to like kind of fuck yourself too with like some stranger's dick with a POV.
Yeah, like I could walk into the avatar who was fucking me. I could sort of walk into his body and stand there and watch this other sort of disembodied penis fucking myself. It was actually like traumatizing.
Yeah. I feel
really,
like I wouldn't, I don't know, like, especially having like shame about being a woman getting fucked or whatever. Like, and I always think about like, oh, that's my bad side. That's my bad angle. Like, that's all of your angles at once. And it's like, you get to see what people are seeing when they're fucking you. And like, I'm the most critical of myself that I'm like, I would never want somebody to fuck me again. Like
Really?
after seeing what I saw, I don't know.
Maybe I think that sometimes I think that during sex, I actually feel more confident than in regular life. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you ever catch yourself in a mirror when you're fucking and be like,
yeah.
like I look hot?
Definitely.
Yeah, there's something about like, I used to hate my butt because I used to be like, oh, I mean, now it just sounds like it's like culture changed me, but I used to be like, my ass is too big and weird.
Yeah.
But then during sex, I was like, oh, but this is when you want like a big ass.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? Like something about your body just feels more like useful when you're fucking somebody.
No, I actually did feel that way with the first guy I was fucking. Was I didn't feel attractive in like New York City life because like you have to be like a waif and like look good in clothes. I don't look great in clothes, but I looked good naked.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like you've also always liked mirror sex.
Yeah.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It's fun to
It's
look.
fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to look.
Then I think you would like fucking yourself in virtual reality.
Okay, then maybe I would. I don't know. I don't know if the stomach rolls I could stomach, but maybe I'll just be like, turn around, Remy.
Yeah, exactly. What attracts you to the idea of VR?
So I think that it's really interesting that you can, like, that you did see yourself with a dick or whatever, and that you can experience stuff like that. You could be a different person. Like, I think especially like the point was brought up for trans people or people like wondering about like their sexuality. Like, you could fuck a woman and it's like kind of like less
like a safe way to explore.
A safe way to explore. Yeah, a safe way to have a dick for the first time, a safe way to have a vagina for the first time. Like, I just, and meet other people around the world and become more cultured, of course.
Right.
But
And I feel like you're a pothead and love VR all the time.
I
You're
do.
like,
I'm always like, Charlotte, come play VR. Like,
Yeah.
there's a Rick and Morty game, and I literally only stand in there and I play with this thing called a plumbus
because it looks
like a dick. Yeah.
I feel like you want to have a dick. That's what I'm getting from having hung out with you for like 45 minutes.
I mean, I would love to. I've said this before. Like, if
strap on.
No, like polyjuice potion in Harry Potter. Like, I'd love to live with a dick for a day or a week or something. Like, I want to experience all facets of humanity,
Yeah.
I think.
And
I want to talk about also Sex and the City.
Yeah.
Carrie.
Yes. I want to talk about Sex and the City because I thought you, like, people have been like, oh yeah, she's like a modern day Carrie Bradshaw about you. Some have said it about me or whatever, but like, my big issue with Carrie is like, she's the sex writer, but she never talks about herself.
right, I know. And she never gets her tits out and everyone else
She
does.
never gets her tits out. Like, any conversation where it's like, oh, it's about like eating ass or whatever, she's like, don't ask me. Why? You're the sex writer.
I know. She, like, most of the comms are about her friends, but I do feel like she talks about her feelings, right?
Yes.
She gets...
But that makes it seem like women are only in sex for the feelings.
Right. Someone said recently that if Sex in the City happened now, Samantha would have been the main character.
Exactly.
And I can't remember who said that, but I was like, that's true.
Yeah.
But I think that she's relatable.
That's why they had so
Carrie.
many fights. Samantha's like, I'm the best part of this show.
I know. She was the best part of the show, honestly. But you needed them together. Like, they were honestly the perfect squad.
Yes. And it made you feel like, okay, these are normal women talking about stuff. Charlotte brought up a really funny point that...
Oh, there's an episode where they're talking about
Eating
Miranda's guy wants her to like eat his ass.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to do that. And they all talk about it. Samantha's even like, I mean, I'll have it done to me, but I don't go there. No way. And everyone like pauses. And Charlotte, the character, is just like, I like it. She likes it.
Yeah.
That was
Supposed
so
to be
funny.
the most like prude.
Yeah.
My fingers are
She made
air
a little
quoting.
air quote.
But she nasty.
Yeah, I know.
And it's great.
I
Yeah.
feel like she's the kind of person for whom love like unleashes her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she would, if for her husband, she would be like a total freak.
Yeah.
Totally. I feel like a lot of women are like that. Like, they don't feel like they can be a freak until they have that.
Corinne Olympios
intimacy.
on episode 23 last season.
Yep.
She was on The Bachelor. She had never masturbated, and we were talking about it, and her boyfriend was in the room, and he was like, she's like, yeah, I just think it's gross. He's like, no, it's hot. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Yeah. Like,
what?
Yeah.
That is so funny. Actually, that is something that I talk about in my book a little bit. I was like, I actually do think that even within a relationship, a person can be a slut, because sometimes, sometimes it takes being in a relationship to feel like you can try the stuff that you would never try with a casual partner. So you can be like the sluttiest version of yourself. Yeah. If you feel safe, essentially. Yeah.
Because then the next day that person's not going to be like, oh, that's Remy. She's butthole girl. It's like, no, that's my girlfriend. I love her. And also she's butthole girl.
Yeah, exactly. It's a term of endearment.
Oh, I was wondering, you touched on your first time a little bit. Was it with a toy, a hand? How did you do it?
So
you were a child. She didn't have a toy.
Yeah. Well, some people like shove shampoo bottles up there and stuff.
That's true.
Or pillows. That's what Corinne was saying. She rubbed up on pillows a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
I never was that person. Like, people rub on their couch or they lie on their stomach. That's impossible for me.
Shower heads.
Oh yeah. That's what I would do. So I started with my hand, and then huge amounts of time in the bathroom under the faucet.
Nice.
Yeah, like that. And then I didn't have a vibrator, I think, until I was like 25. And now I use it a lot when I masturbate. And sometimes I find that, like, if I go through a kick where I'm masturbating a lot and I have my vibrator and Pornhub on, then it does desensitize your clit a little bit. Do you think? Like, then you have to wait a few days. Like, then if I calm down and use my hand for a few days, then I reset.
Yeah, I think if you're going ham, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like anything. That's like working out too hard. It's like, oh, my ass is going to be sore for a few days, but then it's not going to like make it. Like, I think people think of desensitizing as like a permanent thing. Like, if you use like a vibrator, like, you're not going to be able to come naturally. Yeah, you will. It's just.
Yeah, no, you will. But okay, for example, if you're using a vibrator and then you turn it off mid jerk off and then try and use your hand, it's like impossible. Like, and so I feel like it's just, for me
for
anyway.
You, yeah, no, because I was gonna say, for me, I think it's like a welcome change. That it's like, oh, okay, there was this vibration, and then it's like, oh, soft stroking or something. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
I just assumed everyone was me.
I use suction too.
Suction. That's what I say. I think that changed for me because I had a vibrator, and then when I switched over.
Actually, I was told it's not even suction. Like, it's wind
air
technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
It's not technically suction. I use the girl's best friend from Sweet Vibrations, and it's got a air part and a vibrating handle. And we've talked about this ad nauseum on this podcast, but it's just the cheapest version out there of this like wind technology. And we have a promo going on all season long, and it's 15% off if you go to sweetvibes.toys and put in the promo code HowCome, spelled either way, how come or how come. And yeah, you've used it, or they have a lot of other. Do you like vibration the most?
I like vibration the most.
Then maybe the pixie or the tulip.
Have you tried
the wind technology?
Yeah.
I think it really works. My friend who uses it too, she was like, I actually feel like it's stealing my orgasms from me because they
like
happen too
sucking
fast.
them out.
Yeah.
Like a Dementor. Yeah. But you do vibration works for you
But
too?
vibration works for me better.
Yeah.
Sweet Vibes? If you're a vibe person, they have a really good tulips.
Did you try tulips?
I did.
I did too. And I'm not even a huge vibrations person, but it's like
it's
really nice. And it's like, it like cups.
It's cute.
It's
really?
cute. No, but it like cups your vagina. Like, I always talk about, I don't like being out in the breeze. Like, it really like makes you feel like it's not a plug, but it makes you feel plugged up.
Oh.
Yeah, it's nice. And they're silky.
It makes you feel like someone's like holding your vagina.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like a little cup, like a little hand. It's like supportive. And then they have the pixie that looks like that little Totoro, which I know nobody knows what that looks like, but it looks like this, like a rock star hand.
Okay.
And then it like vibrates between here.
It's
yeah.
like little antenna kind of thing.
So I'll let you into my Sweet Vibrations
okay.
treasure chest, and you can pick one out.
I would love that.
Tulips.
Yeah, that one.
Do you have a favorite episode or adventure that Slutever has taken you through?
I love the Pussy Power one. Also the one about bisexual men. It was just, a lot of the episodes are about stuff that's sort of like not obvious, but it's like bigger, crazy. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, let's go meet
Yeah.
people who dress up as horses to fuck, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But this one, which we did in this season.
And monsters.
Yeah, exactly. People who fuck monsters,
Yeah.
like, sugar babies, things that are,
Or like
catchy.
salacious.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
salacious. Yeah, and that there are topics that we talk about in the world, and it's like, okay, let's go actually meet those people. But I feel like male bisexuality is such a question mark.
Yeah.
And no one ever talks about it, and men are so ashamed to talk about it, and we pretend it's not real. And the way it's portrayed in media is completely ridiculous. There's almost no bisexual men on television, and when they do exist in movies and TV, they're often portrayed as murderers.
Ooh.
Bisexual people in general, yeah,
I didn't know that.
like Kevin Spacey in House of Cards, bisexual murderer.
Yeah.
Because it's portrayed as like an element of deviancy, like a manifestation of deviancy, or that person can't be trusted. They're two-faced,
They're
like basic
manipulative.
instinct.
Yeah. It's
exactly.
like make a fucking decision.
right. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
People say that they're like greedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. There's some kind of, you have to be a sociopath in order to want to fuck people of multiple genders or whatever. So that was a cool one because it just was, like I was saying before, like you meet these men who are talking vulnerably, sensitively about their sexuality. And it's like, I just feel like that's really missing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, we had a big thing on the How Come Instagram where I was saying, if, you suck a dick once, does that make you gay or whatever? And this girl took it and ran with it on her own story and was like, Remy doesn't think sucking a dick makes you gay or whatever. And I'm like, it doesn't, because that would mean that a gay guy eating a pussy would have to make him straight. And she's like, no, it wouldn't. And I'm like, well, then there's something like you think gay is tainting it. It's like, is it still milk if you put oil in it? Like the oil's the bad thing.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. And I think that's really rude
Like,
to.
it's never reversible.
It's never reversible. You're gay now. What are you
That's crazy.
talking about? You can be gay and you can be straight and you can do it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Part gay.
Part gay. Yeah. What's your background? Part gay, actually.
Gay. I think that's better than bisexual. I identify as part gay.
Yeah.
That would never happen for women though either. Like if a woman
No.
gave head to another woman, you would never be
Never.
like, she's a lesbian.
Yeah, she's gay now. What?
No. And that's what it's about. Like we go to this bisexual male support group, which was so cute. And all the guys were so nice and like good looking and cool,
Yeah.
and charming. And they were talking about how it's really hard if you come out as bi to get a girlfriend or to get girls to sleep
Yeah.
with you because it's like that Sex and the City episode where she's like,
Yes.
you're just basically bisexuality is like a stepping stone on the way to being full blown gay.
Yeah. Oh my. Fuck you, Carrie
I
Bradshaw.
know I feel like that was like she's a product of her unwoke time.
Of her
though.
unwoke
Yeah.
time. Yeah, but the fact that she was the one who was being like sex, positivity, and then
Yeah.
being like, I can't hook up with this gay guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's bi. I dated a bi guy, and honestly, it opened me up. Like, I was like, oh, maybe I should explore myself too. And it made me appreciate my male friendships more, because I used to think that it was like, oh, you can only be like whenever you're talking to somebody of the sex that you're attracted to, there has to be something like How You Met Sally, like there has to be someone attracted.
Right.
Like if you're bi where you're thinking, oh, well, I could potentially be attracted to everyone, then it makes the people that you're not attracted to, like that's a chosen friendship.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's sometimes sexual charge, but there's also sexual charge sometimes between you and like the guy from the deli. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Definitely.
yeah, that I don't think that's.
Yeah. Also, I think especially for bisexual men, it's the feminizing of them. If they were able to suck a dick, if they were able to take a dick in the ass, that makes them less manly man.
Totally. I know the word emasculating is just the worst word, sort of.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Like, there's so many great things about masculine and feminine energy. Like, let's remasculate and refeminate. Like,
Totally.
yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Oh, look at us. We've gone so long already.
Really? That
yeah.
felt like how long was it?
An hour.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's so
We'll
fun.
go further. We'll just keep going, and then we'll put all the extras on patreon.com/howcome. This has been the most fun time ever. Thank you so
Literally.
much for
Literally,
being
this is so
here.
fun. I feel like really, it's also like we're in this time travel old lady apartment on the Upper East Side, and I love that we're talking about this here.
Yeah.
It feels appropriate.
You can meet Nan right after this. Yeah. She's so cute. Karley, also, can you tell our listeners where they can find you, your show, your book, all that good stuff?
Yep. My book is called Slutever, and so is my website. And you can watch Slutever on Viceland, the channel. And also I write a column for Vogue called Breathless.
I have to ask this to all of our guests to be a courteous host, as you would after a sexual experience. Karley, did you finish?
I totally finished. Okay. Multiple times.
Amazing. Charlotte, did you finish?
One of the better finishings of my life. What about you?
I peed all over my new Helix mattress. You guys, thank you for coming. And we'll see you next time on How Come.
Yes. Thank you.
Goodbye.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I've still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna jizz